Hey, this is shawnshawn. I sell art on shawnshawn.co and a special on eBay. Today, I'm going to cover framing. So one of my friends asked me, my client asked me about framing my art. What should I tell them? I think they don't really usually frame their artwork. So there's a couple of things I'd like to cover. One is historically art has been always framed, and the frame kind of acts as a protection device when you transport the art. So that's more or less why they have the frame. It's also to kind of pimp out the painting, so to say. You put a nice gold leaf or whatever. Historically, that's kind of how they did traditional painting back in the 1800s. Now there's more modern frames, so there's a lot more variety to the frames, I would say. So it acts as kind of a protection to the painting to transport the painting. And second, most galleries are going to frame your art eventually. So whenever art gets to gallery and it's sold to another gallery and sold to another gallery, eventually it's going to be framed. It acts as that protection device for the gallery, so it just makes it easier for them. If they chip the frame, there's no loss. They can always reframe a work, but if they damage the painting, they don't want that. So the frame acts as that nice protection device. And so your art's eventually going to be framed. So this gets to another third point is, for my particular painting, what I do is I either leave it white or paint it black to kind of make it look like a frame, but I don't put too much effort in painting the sides. A lot of artists will paint the sides and they say, oh, it's a 3D effect. You can watch it from the side. And you're like, not really, dude. But if they want to think that, they can think that, right? But what I would say is don't waste your time painting the sides of the painting. I mean, if it's just blue, fine, paint it blue. But if you're trying to paint like a whole landscape on the side of the painting, it's just dumb. They're eventually going to frame that. You're wasting your time on that side. So just paint it black or white, call it a day, or paint it a neutral color if it's mostly blue. Paint the whole painting, the whole sides blue if you want. But really don't invest time on the sides of the painting, because you want to make it look clean. You don't want to have a sloppy paint look on the side. So paint it white or black or some color. But yeah, don't waste time on that, because people are going to frame it eventually and they're not going to see the sides of that painting over time, especially once it gets to the gallery level, which your artwork will eventually get in the gallery level or in the trash. So yeah, once it gets to the gallery level, it's going to be framed anyway, so you're really wasting your time. So save your time. Don't spend too much time on the sides. And if the guy wants to frame it, let him frame it, because it adds more protection to the painting. Another fourth point is, remember to tell your client that the frame really doesn't add value to the painting per se. Some people spend maybe $100, $200 on a frame, but really, if the artwork's for $50, it's worth $50 with the frame or without the frame. With cheap art, that may not be true, but if you got a $1,000 painting, you add a $100 frame, you think, oh, I added 10%. You didn't add anything. It's still $1,000 frame or unframe. It just makes it easier to sell with the frame for the high-end collectors who like to have their work framed usually. Because of that transportation issue, and the more expensive the artwork, they want it more protected, so that's why the frame comes into effect. So don't spend too much on the frame. If you can make a frame yourself really quickly, do that. But I've seen people spend not thousands, but they'll spend 5-6 hours making this custom frame, and I'm like, why? It doesn't matter. The viewer might not like it. It's like, I had a story where one of my early paintings, I sent it to him. I used to frame all my work and send it and be like, oh, this is a nice framed artwork. And this guy said, I don't like the gold leaf one. I'm just going to put simple black. All my paintings are in black on the frame. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. But at the time, I was like super pissed. I was like, man, I picked this frame to match the artwork and blah, 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 blah. But don't get involved with the frame. If they want to frame, let them frame. It does add that protection value, but don't get attached to the frame. Get attached to the artwork and the value of it. But once you sold the work, don't think too much about it. It is what it is. Once it's out of your hand, people do whatever. They burn it, they frame it, they put it in a museum, they sell it to their friend down the street. I mean, it's out of your control. Don't worry about it. There's nothing you can do about it. And that's my tip of the day, guys.